Okay, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up before I get going. Hello. I always put lip balm on. I don't put it on before I start. I always put it on after I've started. I don't know why. I do it in all my coaching sessions too. They have to watch me do lip balm. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, my grooming. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Rainy, rainy, rainy day today, but we haven't had any snow all winter, so I ain't complaining. I'm not complaining. And you can't complain about Vancouver getting rain because we live in a rainforest. So that's why it's so lush, all the mountains and everything. Anyway. Hi, Taylor. Whenever I'm doing a live, I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all these lives. Then I jump from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. So that's how it's done. So I'm just going to set my timer because I'll be up late tonight. I got lots of work to do. Okay. California, welcome. OMG, Jocelyn. Phoenix, Arizona, Mama Cass. I've seen that name before. I love your advice. Thanks so much. New Zealand. Hi, Courtney. I think I've seen that name before. That's where we used to ski, in Queenstown, New Zealand. So we used to live in Australia. Not a lot of skiing down that end of the world. And it's not like Whistler level skiing like I grew up with. It's still pretty darn good, though. Because you know what I loved about it is you go down in the city in Queenstown, there's no snow. Then they take a bus and go up to the snow. But anyway, that was the first time my kids ever saw snow, was in New Zealand. Watching from Kentucky. Hi, Michelle. And we've got Amber and Jade and Jess. Okay, I'm just waiting I'm on really late tonight. It's just the way my work day's gone and everything. So anyway, what I'm doing though is I'm trying not to come on here for as long because it's hard to fit it in if you're going to do an hour and a half. But if I just come in for like 45 minutes instead, then it's easier to fit it in. Hi, Cheyenne. And you're in the North Island Topo, but Queenstown is beautiful. Yeah, I fell in love with it. Absolutely. And New Zealanders are super friendly. In Australia, where we were, they're called Kiwis. And Australians are Aussies, obviously. And then the Pommies are English. So those were all my friends, all those different. I had no North American friends for 20 years when I lived in Australia. Not one. Isn't that funny? You think I would have met some other Canadian or American? No, just never did. Fully ensconced down there. Okay. Does the behavior board work for kids on the spectrum? It can. Depends on, where they are on the spectrum. It can, but if you want any real advice on kids on the spectrum, that would be autism, then that would be coaching. But yeah, lots of parents with kids on the spectrum use it because you're teaching, I'm just teaching parent-child relationships. And they're pretty similar, with every kid. So, yeah, lots of parents say that they've got success with that, the course or the behavior board with kids on the spectrum. But if you want any real specific advice, that would be coaching, because I don't go into it. I don't discuss any special needs in the courses or on the behavior board. Okay, you got a 2-year-old Caroline who won't poop on the toilet. Really common. It's usually boys, but this one's a girl. Anyway, there's 3 reasons why they don't poop on the toilet. Usually, there's exceptions, but the 3 most common reasons they won't poop on the toilet. One is splash phobia. They would have been splashed at one time, maybe. The other one is hanging phobia. They don't like the feeling of it hanging and tugging on them. You know what, hanging there. They don't like that. And the third one is cold butt. They get really cold. They're used to pooping in a nice, tight, warm environment, right? So those are the 3 main reasons. So what I recommend you do is get a little porta potty so there's no splashback. Also, when they're sitting on that, you want to put toilet paper in the bottom so they can feel something touching their bum, bit of a cozier feel. And the third one is either hike the heat up in the bathroom or just put like an Afghan around them. And when they're finished, open that up and hold your breath when you do that. Yeah, so you can give that a go. And use incentive. You use the reward system with potty training. So she can only see a certain show on if she sits on the potty and try, so. Why do some children develop sensitivity to rejection or not being liked by everyone? I don't know. Everyone's got different personality traits, right? That's just the way it is. But the higher their self-esteem, the less likely they are to suffer from stuff like that. And the way you increase self-esteem is by being a leader. Leaders make kids feel good about themselves. It's just the way it is. That's what I teach here. My goal is always that they like themselves when they're with me. They feel good about themselves. That's always my goal. So then they're much less likely to be the pleasers, right? I was never a pleaser. I could care less if anyone likes me. The reason is that you don't like everyone. Why do you expect everyone to like you, right? I always told my kids that. I remember when I was young, even, I remember people saying, you walk into any room like you own it. And it was only because I don't think I felt like I owned it, but I had that attitude. I I can have a bit of an arrogant look about me, but I'm not, once you know me, I'm nothing like that. But it's because I don't care what anyone thinks. When I walk into a room, I always think, I hope I like someone here. It would never cross my mind to worry about what they think about me. The reason is I like who I am. I'm a good person. They're either going to like me or they're not. And that's okay. I don't like everyone. I don't expect everyone to like me. Usually if someone doesn't like me, it's usually mutual. So what's the problem with that? Yeah, I would never change who I am or pretend to be something I'm not or put on an act or anything. And that comes from insecurity, all that stuff. So yeah, work on their self-esteem, their security, their confidence. And you do that by being a leader. Oh, the classroom. No, I can't give you any teaching advice because I know nothing about it. Nothing. I just teach parenting. It's very different. It's personal. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs, but they struggle with parenting because not everything crosses over. You can understand kids really well in a doctor's office or in a classroom, but at home, it's personal. It's just different. It's a different relationship. So there is a lot of crossover, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't cross over. One of the most common ones that doesn't cross over is the reward chart. It works beautifully in classrooms, but at home, it's a total disaster. A reward chart for good behavior, what it says to a child at home is you're normally rotten. If you should happen to be good, you'll get a gold star. Imagine if your spouse had a reward chart for you. You had a good day today, you're going to get a gold star. See how patronizing and insulting it is? Yeah, but in a classroom, they don't take it personally because 30 kids are on it, right? And it's not personal, it's business. Anyway, that's one thing that does not cross over at all. Behavior board's completely different. A behavior board says you're normally great, but if you should happen to do something rotten, then you'll get a consequence. See the difference? I've sat in the back of a lot of classrooms. I spent thousands of hours sitting in the back of classrooms supporting teachers, just dealing with one behavioral challenge kid. And every so often I would see a teacher do something in anger that was inappropriate, not horrible. They might throw something or whatever. They've just lost it. The kids have pushed them too far. And then they forget I'm there, right? Because I'm just quietly up the back and they'll forget. And then they'll sometimes look over at me in a panic, like, you didn't see that, did you? And I'm usually looking at them and smiling. So I always go like this and look away like I saw nothing. I could never do your job. I could never be a teacher. I'd be throwing stuff out the door. I'd be throwing stuff all the time. Like, I just don't think I could do it. Tough job. Yeah, sometimes a teacher's even said to me, I just want to apologize for raising my voice with the class. I said, don't apologize to me. Oh my God. What a tough job. On YouTube, there's Abby from South Australia. I have a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. How can such a tough age because it's so physical. How can I stop from hitting her and continually banging his jaw forward like a Maltese dog? I don't quite know what you mean by that. But yeah, the 3-year-old, I'm assuming the 3-year-old is the boy, the older one. Just put down no aggressive behavior, which means no hitting, no kicking, no whatever. And put down no aggressive behavior. Draw pictures so he understands it. That's on the behavior board, and then you follow it up. I didn't even introduce myself tonight. I'll do that in a second because I just started yabbering. Anyway, and then put it on the behavior board, and then there's a consequence when he does, okay? So anyway, I'm going to introduce myself now. Someone said, I love your demeanor. I'm sure there's a lot of people who hate me too. I'm very polarizing. Do you know why I want to be polarizing? Because then you get strong feelings. I'd rather have a few people love me and rather than everybody think I'm okay. right? See what I mean? And I'm okay with a few people hating me too. It doesn't bother me. So yeah, I'd always rather be polarizing, because what you see is what you get. And I have no problem with spewing out what I'm thinking every second, because I'm not a horrible person. I trust myself. I'm not going to say something awful. Sometimes I cringe though when I say stuff. I go, phew, that was too much. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. My name's Lisa. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. I do have a big wait list for that, but I'll get to you eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. There's no wait list for that. We drop it every Tuesday and Thursday. It's on all the platforms. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch my daughter and I do it together. She's in charge of all that. She does all the marketing, all the planning. So I never know what we're going to be talking about. I don't operate by knowing what's coming. I need to be surprised. So she surprises me every single time we do a podcast. Okay, best account on Facebook, hands down. Oh, thanks, Sam. Your check will be in the mail. Thank you. Someone said something so nice to me today. Just really nice thing to say. It was really sweet. Yeah, and it just came out. It was just something so sweet. It was in my personal life. Just really sweet. I'm not one for compliments, but that one got me. It was I won't say it. It was just so lovely. It's like the good side of gentle parenting with awesome boundaries and not talking too much. Oh, that's sweet. I don't discuss that method specifically. The only thing I discuss when it comes to parenting styles is the pendulum swinging from the old-fashioned authority to the newfangled please your parent. I've never studied any other parenting method because I'm very careful with that. I don't look at anyone else out there. So I'm not critiquing any one specific method. But the please your parent style is the more the trendy one, more the one where you're discussing all their big feelings. And something came out. My daughter makes me listen to the podcast. I hate that. But anyway, she goes, just check it before it goes out. She didn't used to make me do that. She does now. Anyway, it's agony listening to yourself. But anyway, something came out because I always say, you don't need to validate all their feelings. You know what came out in the podcast? I do. But I don't do it with these big discussions, these mini therapy sessions. What are you thinking? Tell me how you're feeling. All that garbage. I hate all that stuff. But I do get all their feelings out of them. What I do is I play with them. If it's teenagers, I talk about their music, their games. Stuff comes out when you get them relaxed and in their zone, in their world, and relaxed in their zone. You're showing an interest in it. You're playing with them. You're talking about their music, whatever. That's when they start. That's when the feelings come out. And they come out organically instead of in this mini therapy session style, which is just awful. I just hate it. I just think it's awful. So yeah, I do sort of validate all their feelings. I have to kind of backtrack with that. It's just not done the way that people talk about it. That's all. Yeah, kids tell me a lot because I'm good at connecting. Your connection will bring out pretty much anything. But I play with them. I don't ask them how they're feeling. No, I don't have any ideas about the thumb sucker. No, because you can't take a soother. You can take a soother, a dummy, a pacifier, whatever you want to call it. You can take that away, but you can't take away their thumbs. Bitters don't work. Bandaging them up doesn't work. They're going to rip anything off. The only thing that I've sort of recommended that some parents have said has helped, they usually outgrow it. I'll tell you why. They go to school and social pressure makes them outgrow it usually because they'll end up doing it without thinking and some kid will tease them and laugh at them and then they'll just learn to stop doing it. They'll end up sitting on their hands or something. Anyway, the only thing I've ever recommended that sometimes has worked is replace it with something else and remind them. You can literally like have a bell or something that you go soon and say, I'll tell you what, every time you go to suck your thumb, I'm going to ring a bell and then you can pick up this whatever stress toy or whatever it is. You can try that. But yeah, good luck with that. It's hard to do. It's usually something that social pressure trains them out of. Okay, good one. This is Mama Cass. Parents' behavior on the board. Because we don't yell. Most parents yell, but some don't. It always throws me off. It's that rare in coaching. So I'm like writing out the behavior board in coaching, and then I say, okay, do you yell? And if they go no, I'm like this. Okay. Like it's that rare that parents don't yell. So, I mean, I've never yelled, but that's why I teach all this stuff, but it's that rare. But if they don't yell, then we put something else. It's usually no angry tone because most parents will use a stern tone. I don't like that. Like I told you, don't do that. That's an angry tone. I don't like that stuff. It's patronizing. So yeah, you can put down no angry tone. I've got a whole bunch of parents. Their rule is no angry tone. Or if that's not the case, maybe they don't connect enough. It could be your rule could be you have to play hide and seek for 10 minutes every day. That could be your rule. And if you don't, then the next day you have to play for 20 minutes, which really is just balancing it out. The kids don't care about that. Okay. Oh, thanks for that, Tabitha, the podcast. She said the podcast was great today. I never know what's current because my daughter makes me listen to them like a month or two in advance. But we did one. I just listened to one, and it was, I don't remember what it was about, but what came out was the fact that it was about validating their feelings. And I just do it through play. You know, whenever therapists work with little kids, it's all through play therapy. They don't just sit across from them in an armchair and say, so what are you thinking? Like, they don't do that. It's all done through play. You loosen kids up, make them feel relaxed and good about themselves, and they'll tell you everything. They spill their guts, right? But they also don't tend to they don't waste your time on the phony feelings. I'm mad at you. I don't discuss all that stuff. You know, they don't waste your time because now they're having fun. So they don't waste your time telling you how mad they are at you. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out this question. Oh, yeah. Okay. The dentist with the thumb sucking. Dentist is hoping he'll stop before 3, as am I. He gave himself a rash, the poor guy. Yeah. I knew someone years ago who sucked his thumb in his sleep right through his teen years and has no thumbprints left. He sucked his thumbprints. I guess he was in training to be a thief or something and no thumbprints. But wow. Okay, this is good, Tabitha. Tone, facial expression, they're so hard. Yeah, because I always say so much of what I teach is about how your demeanor is. You want to stay as calm as possible during the storms, and you can be crazy and wild and chase them with underpants on your head every other time, like I did, right? But when I'm disciplining, those underpants come off, and I'm like very calm. I'm very boring. There's no fun mom in that moment, right? So Tabitha said facial expressions, they're so hard. It is very hard because what you're feeling, you want to express it facially, but you got to learn not to. It doesn't mean that I wasn't necessarily mad, especially kids I was working with, some of the troubled teens. Yeah, they did make me mad sometimes, but I knew enough not to show it. I got really good at it. It was hard. And then I'd get in the car and drive home and swear and everything. Oh, that little crap. It's not what I said, you can imagine. So yeah, I did get mad, but I never showed it. Because if you show anger, frustration, and disappointment, you're not a leader. So anyways, Tabitha said you need Botox to freeze your face. I don't recommend Botox. I've never had it. Some people have recommended that I get that done. Yeah, it's kind of an insult, but I don't care. But yeah, I've earned these. I've earned all this. I've earned all my wrinkles. They're my war wounds in 65 years of life. Why would I want to get rid of my proof? You know, these are my war wounds. Don't take those away from me. I never wanted to look young. You know, I want to look good for my age. Fitness is very important to me. I like to look fit and healthy, but I like looking my age. I like it. Okay. Okay. Actually, I have to go over to Instagram. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters.com. I'm on YouTube the whole time. And if you don't want to join me over on Instagram, you might want to check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can look into my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. Or you can look into coaching if you want to work with me one-on-one. That I do have a big wait list. We've discussed how to manage that. I haven't quite figured it out. Anyway, so but I've only got it's just me. I'm the only one who coaches. So anyway, but I'll get to you eventually. So, and then also the podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram now. Happy parenting. My dishwasher going if you hear anything in the background. I do have a separate room I could put my office in, but I like being in the main area. And that separate room has the best view. It's a gorgeous room, but I spend all my time sitting over here. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm on Instagram, just waiting for everyone to turn up. I ran into someone who follows me today. Most people don't approach me. You can always tell when someone's recognized you. They go like that. But anyway, usually once a day, someone will say something to me. So today she said, "Oh, I didn't know you were Canadian. Everyone thinks I'm American." And I think the reason is that I lived in Australia for 20 years. I had no Canadian or American friends there. I was all Australian and Kiwis and Pommies. And but the only North American accent I heard on a regular basis was TV. It was all American. So I think I developed sort of an American accent when I lived in Australia. Because I got all the slang with Australia, but I never sounded Australian. Central California. Hi, be lovely. I talk about you all the time. Oh, that's sweet. Thanks, Grizzly and Company. Okay, we got enough people. I'll introduce myself. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go to my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for older kids. They're called the boot camp courses. Or you can look, if you want to work with me one-on-one, it's all done on, what am I talking about? Oh, it's all done on, someone said to me the other day, do you come to our house? No, I've got people all over the world. It's all done like online, right? So video calls. Anyway, I do have a big wait list, but I'll get through that eventually. Or if you want to listen to the podcast, it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms and we save it on YouTube. Anyway, let's get going with the live. I'm on YouTube the whole time I'm talking, but I bounce from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. Okay, someone said something. I find this interesting. I'm trying to think of a way to phrase how I feel about this. When people talk about how smart their kids are, I find that interesting. I'm going to try and think about what I'm going to write that down because there's a message that I want to send to people about that, but I'm not sure how to phrase it. Just a sec. I'll think about it. I don't want to just come out with where my mind's going because it's too scattered with that, but I want to make a real point about that. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to scroll ahead so I make sure that you're still here when I answer your questions, and then I'm going to backtrack to look for a question. That's how I do it. Oh, if our 2.5-year-old says he doesn't want to sleep and repeats himself and wakes up in the middle of the night asking us to take him out, is he in a bed or in a crib? Like, can he escape? If he can escape, then you just walk him back to bed. You just stop talking. The first time you might say, it's bedtime, stay in bed. Put him back into bed. You don't have to tuck him in. He might be screaming and kicking. So one body part has to touch the mattress. Walk out of his room and you just keep walking him back slowly, Don't look at him or talk to him after that first, it's bedtime, stay in bed. But if he's in a crib, that's a little bit different. But at 2.5, I'll assume he's in a bed. It's a bit of a, what do they call that when it's not a stalemate, but you got to outlast them. You usually can walk them back to bed longer than they can stay awake and keep doing it. So it's a battle. Parents don't like that. Well, how do we avoid the scenes? The scenes are the lessons. If you're always trying to avoid a scene, you're a pleaser parent and you're going to raise the self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea. Yeah, the scenes are the lessons. The scenes mean that usually you're doing the right thing. They don't like it, so they have a big scene. Let them process that. Okay, she just turned 3. Should I start with the toddler or go straight to the big kids? Oh, courses, the big kid. Yeah. 3 to 12-year-old one. That's when the behavior board starts at 3. The age of 3 is when they have the ability to learn how to stop and think before they act. So they're not just driven by impulses. I've worked with a lot of kids who, and I used to volunteer in a hospital with babies, they used to call it NAS babies, narcotic addiction syndrome. And they were born, addicted to something. And they struggled evidently through the rest of their life. When they're born as an addict, they struggle for the rest of their life with impulses. If they feel an impulse, they do it. So those are kids I would find actually really challenging to work with, just because of the fact they really struggle to squash those impulses to do something if they want to do it. We did figure some stuff out, but I found that quite challenging. I've worked with a lot of kids like that. Oh, in a crib. The 2.5-year-old keeps waking up. Just go in there, lay them back down, pat them on the back. You're all right. Go to sleep and then leave. And leave for maybe 1 minute. Let them scream. and then come back in. You're all right. Go out, shut the door, leave for 2 minutes now. Keep doing it. When you hit 5 minutes, do it every 5 minutes. Keep going. You're all right. Pat them on the back. Don't stay in there. Don't soothe them. Just go, you're all right. Good night, and then leave. You're all right. Good night. It's not the words that do it. It's just the, you're all right. Good night. So do it. So it's 1 minute, then 2 minutes, then 3, 4. And then when you hit 5, just keep repeating the 5. That you should be able to outlast them. Your almost 3-year-old yells no when he's given direction that he doesn't like or is being firmly corrected. Don't use the word you don't use firm. You don't use sternness or firmness. You talk like, okay, here's what we're doing. You always want to talk like that. If you sound firm or stern, it puts up a wall between the two of you. It's not a good way to talk to a kid. We have him sit where he is until he's ready to comment. No, you've got the timeout thing going. No, he's 3 and he yells no. So what if he says no? Just anyway, check out my free behavior board. It'll tell you how to follow through with all this stuff. How to set yourself up as a leader, because you're trying to fix him. We don't do that. We don't fix kids. We fix and teach parents here. Well, I do. I'm the only one that does this. But anyway, yeah, we're teaching parenting here. So don't use a firm voice. Firm makes you sound like you don't know what you're doing. If you talk firm, it sounds kind of intimidating. Like, yeah, if you have to intimidate someone to get respect, it's not leadership. So yeah, don't use the firm or stern voice. Like if I'm disciplining kids, they do something, I'll say, I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And then I just follow through with the consequence. That's my tone. I'm completely calm. I'm in charge of myself, right? I know I can control myself. You can't make me mad because I'm a leader, right? Two-and-a-half-year-old refuses to fall asleep with the door closed. Is that the same one? Has to be wide open. Do I let that go and keep? I would leave it open. You can just shut it when they fall asleep. Yeah, what's the problem with that? What if you're a nanny and bring your son? So you're a nanny, but you bring your son with you. Do you implement consequences when you're working? Well, I don't know how old he is. If it's a toddler, you have to do it right in the moment. If it's 3 and above, you can say, oh, we'll discuss that when we get home. Or you could do it there if it's convenient. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. A nanny who brings their child along. No, I don't know how old they are, so it makes a big difference. Okay, this is Chloe. Hi, Lisa. Just started the behavior board as experienced sudden defiance with our newly 3-year-old girl. You know, that's that fork in the road. 3 years old is a fork in the road. They either get easier or worse, depending on if you're a leader or not. Okay. My question is about other bad behaviors, example in the supermarket. Yeah, okay. So parents ask me this all the time in coaching. Okay, that behavior board, you're just dealing with one behavior, right? And I said, yeah. And then they say, what do we do with the rest of the stuff? I said, I don't know. Like, do whatever you were doing before. The sign of your new leadership, you're just going to focus on that one behavior. You can fumble with everything else like you were before. Don't apply those consequences to anything else. It muddies the water, okay? That behavior board is the sign of your new leadership. Then in week 2, you have 2 of them. Week 3, you have 3. Now you've learned some skills. In week 4, you can apply those consequences to everything. There's lots of other bits of advice that go with that. But anyway, the free behavior board just goes through the first 3 weeks. And then afterward, the course goes into week 4 and how you follow it all up and everything. But yeah, you're just learning. You're just teaching yourself how to be a leader. That's all. You know, it's like if parents will often say, what about all the other stuff? I say, that's like if you're learning how to fly and you've just learned maybe one knob or one lever and one dial. And then you say, well, how do I fly the plane? No, you're just focused on those 2 little controls that you've just been taught in the first week. Can't fly the plane yet. The plane is all the other behaviors. We'll get there. You just want to master what you've learned each week. Then you go on to everything else. Actually, in my course, I have a whole section, a whole chapter on supermarket tantrums and how you avoid them and how you deal with them when they happen. It's that common, supermarket tantrums. And you're setting your kids up for that. Yeah, you've taught your kids how to have tantrums in supermarkets. You just got to manage it right from the start. So there's a whole chapter on that. Oh my goodness. This is Alana. What to do when my 2-year-old constantly wants to be held and picked up. If not, she starts screaming and throwing herself on the floor, completely blocks me by holding onto both legs. I'd step over her. I'd peel her little fingers off my legs and go and do what I got to do. I'm assuming that you play with her, so she gets enough attention. I'm assuming she just wants to be in control 24/7. Yeah, so you just finish playing with her. You get up, say, I'm going to go do the dishes now. She grabs onto your legs. I'd peel her little fingers off my legs, and I'd just keep moving. Yeah, don't let her control you. I'm assuming you connect with her and play with her. Play is their love language, okay? What that is she's just trying to control you. So someone asked me a question I can't answer, but I'm going to read out the question. Top beneficial toddler toys that last with age. I have a 20-month-old and try not to get too many toys. It's not much. Yeah. Okay. Anything creative. I always say that with my kids, they didn't have very many toys. Like really, they didn't. Like it was amazing how few they had. And I would literally toss a whole bunch of stuff. You know, all those toys that you get that don't do anything. They're just kind of, ooh, I got this. Yippee. I shouldn't mention what it was, but anyway. But yeah, they're just trash. I just chucked them all. I like toys that start as nothing and they have to turn them into something, like Lego and Play-Doh and stuff like that, where they had to build something. They had to create something. I love crafts and all that sort of stuff. So, and you know, one of my favorite things to do with my kids my son was really little, he loved this, is I saved all of our old toilet rolls and paper towel rolls, and I would tape them all together in the tube. I would shape a whole bunch of different ways, and he'd fire down his little Matchbox cars through that. And we pointed off in different directions. He had it was toilet paper rolls. We turned nothing into something. So I saved a lot of recycling stuff and built stuff with it. Or I'd just throw the big blanket or a sheet over a dining room table, and then I'd put pillows and books underneath there and a little flashlight. In Australia, we called it a torch. It's a flashlight. And then that would be their little reading nook. So I was always changing stuff around, but I wasn't really spending any money. And also another thing that we were really lucky where we lived in Australia, in that they had the toy libraries were attached to regular libraries, just the big ones. And so you could rent out toys every week or every 2 weeks. I think you could keep them for 3 weeks. I'm not sure. And they were all these giant things, like a giant slide, but it was stuff that you could fit into like a van or whatever, or an SUV. So it was, and you could put it together when you got home, or it was a big dollhouse or a big garage for all the cars, different levels with a little elevator inside. These were like really neat things, or little ride-em trucks and cars that they could do. And it was all free. It was just a toy library. You know what I would do is if it wasn't available in my city, now that I know that that's possible, I would go, I'm not religious, but I would go to a church and say, look, I'd be happy to organize a toy library. People will start donating stuff that they're not using, and then people can take it out for free. You know, it's harder to get a library to start that because they have to go through the government and all that. But churches don't. They can just start that up, you know. It's a great service to provide to the community. So that's what I would do. Get a toy library going. Good consequences for a defiant 4-year-old who doesn't want to listen. It's not about the consequences. It's about the consistency. Check out the free behavior board. It'll teach you how to start being consistent and how to be a leader. And they listen to a leader. They lean into it. They just instinctively do. All children need, crave, and want leadership. They just don't know how to ask for it. That's like that 8-year-old kid I was asked to work with. And as soon as I met him, he says, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said, bring it on. And he never did. You could see he relaxed right away. He thought, oh, she knows what she's doing. That's what they need. They need that. He was great with me. Okay. So just provide leadership and they will lean into it. The difference is with me is that I'm level 10 with all this. So they pick up on that. Also, I have no history with them. It's harder if you're learning how to do this and you have history of not being a leader. It's going to take a lot longer. You won't just be able to say, bring it on and get respect. Okay. It's going to take longer because you've got to erase the mistakes of the past. And you've got to be 100% consistent while you're learning how to do this at the same time. It's hard. You're changing your personality, right? It's hard to do, but it's worth it. There's lots of toy libraries in BC, usually held by the YMCA. Oh, I didn't know that. In the interior, anyways, usually run out of churches in small towns like mine. Oh, okay. Very good to know. Very good to know. Yeah, it's such a good idea, isn't it? Because think of all the toys that are out there that people get tired of. Actually, I know in our parks, I live downtown, and there's lots of parks around. What they do is they just leave their little ride-em stuff behind, and then little kids come along and play, and they just leave stuff at parks. So yeah, so people, if you've got something, I'm not suggesting you do that, but I've seen a lot of people do that. They just will leave something they're finished with at a park. The little kids will go along and play on it. They might ride it home, take it home. That's okay. Pass it on. Is it right to take something away if your 3-year-old isn't doing anything you need them to do? That's sort of, check out the free behavior board. It explains how to get organized with all this. I don't start with taking stuff away with a 3-year-old. I start with something else. So you'll see there's always 2 consequences for the kids. You start with a positive action, then you resort to the negative deprivation, which is what that is, taking something away. I don't start with that. So check that out. How do you work on your leadership skills? Just keep watching. You know, it's a whole, there's not one quick answer for that. It's a whole system. Oh, I know. Check out the pool story. It's a real quick story. I can't tell it again. I've told it too many times. My brain shuts off. If you just go on Google and you go BratBusters pool story, it'll come up and it explains how a leader treats children. It's my best story for that. The only thing I've never put in there, and the reason I didn't is because I thought it's so obvious. But like my daughter says, Mom, just because it's obvious to you doesn't mean it's obvious to other people. I've never told this in one of my videos on this pool story. Anyway, a lot of people, my clients have asked me, they said, when you saw that kid going for Whaley, you'll understand if you've seen it, why did you not stop him? And I said, why would I do that? Like, why on earth would I stop him? Now I'm just I'm just a dictator. I'm weak. I want kids to make their own choices, unless it's dangerous, obviously, but I want kids to make their own choices. Then I come in and correct, right? I don't correct before they've done the wrong thing. That's micromanaging, nagging. It makes you look weak. Like, don't you go it, don't you touch it. He would have been rotten all day if I did that. That's not leadership. Why on earth would I try and prevent him from doing what he wants to do? It doesn't make any sense at all to me. And yet my daughter says most people would do that, right? You see him going to do something naughty, you'd try and intervene. I would never do that. You go right ahead. Go right ahead. He got eye contact with me briefly, and then I just looked away. He was testing me, and I passed. Tabitha on YouTube, she's talking about toy libraries. So the toy library, I for sure would get that going. If I was in a small town or even a big city that doesn't have a toy library, I would go to churches. Like I said, I'm not religious, but I would certainly go to churches. If I wouldn't be a member, but I'd go into any church and say, look, would you be interested in getting this program going? It would only be open maybe Sunday morning from between 11 to 12 or something, one day a week. And we're just, handing toys. It's like a library, just, they're signing over taking a toy out, but it doesn't cost the church anything. It's just people donate stuff. So you have to set that up initially. Hey, look, we're starting a toy library. Do you want it? I'm pretty sure that would get a lot of donations. If you have general questions about, especially toddlers, there's a lot of that on these lives. If you go on my behavior board, it has a toddler course in it. There's 2 mini courses and it's free. It's called the behavior board, and there's a free mini course on toddlers too. It'll give you the quick answer to how you discipline toddlers. Okay, there's a really specific way of doing it. It changes at 3. Then they go on the behavior board, but under 3 is a very specific way of how you discipline toddlers. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, I agree. I think if I was a church, I'm not a church, but I would think, wow, what a great thing to provide the community, right? I didn't know they were a thing. I'd never raised kids until I only had kids in Australia, right? That's where I raised my kids. And I remember the first time I ever heard, I went to a friend's house and I said, oh, is that new? And she goes, no, I got a toy library. Well, ding, 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 ding. As soon as I left her house, I headed for that toy library. That toy library, what's this? Wow. Because here's the thing. Kids don't care about big, expensive stuff. They care about different and new. Doesn't have to be brand new, but something different. They like different because they're in especially toddlers, they're in the discovery phase. Okay. They like to discover new things. What I used to do with my kids is that I really didn't have many toys for them because I didn't want to, but I would just move stuff around. I might turn their books around in their bookshelf. So all you see is the pages, not the spine. And they go, "Ooh, what's this?" I was always trying to make everything look a little bit different. Right. And they just discover it again in a different way. Plus, I did do a toy rotation system so that they would only see the same toys. I didn't even have to rotate very often because we were out a lot. We did the toy library a lot. And they had stuff like Lego and Play-Doh, and that keeps them busy for, years. But I did rotate stuff around. But maybe every 2 or 3 months, even, that's how often I had to do it. And then they played with it differently. If they're that much older, if they're 3 months older or even 3 weeks older, they'll look at it differently because they're developing, they're forming differently, right? Okay, you have a child with cerebral palsy. Sorry, I always say that wrong. Cerebral palsy. That is coaching only. Okay, I don't discuss that here because it's not a general topic. Anything with special needs, I only discuss in coaching. So I can't. I need a lot of information. And also, I'm not a doctor or anything. I don't have any degrees. But all I'm teaching here is parent-child relationships. That's all I teach, is how to connect with your kids and discipline them effectively. And so yeah, but then I need a lot more information with special needs. Okay, I'm going to answer this one, as a lot of people will benefit from this. If we have a 2.5-year-old, is it too late to have a healthy bond if I have had issues responding angrily on occasion? We would go back and apologize. 2.5-year-old could care less about an apology. They don't understand it. It means nothing to them. Haven't been the best at my emotional regulation. Okay, 2.5 is not too late. I specialize in teenagers. Okay, it gets harder as they get older because they have a lot more memories of things that you were doing in the past, right? So it's never too late, but it is. And at 2.5, they're still really fresh. But yeah, just start from today and don't go back and feel guilty about what you did in the past because you can't change it anyway. Just learn from it and move forward. Okay. And a 2.5-year-old does not understand an apology. I'll be honest, I don't either. I don't like the words "I'm sorry." They're so overused. People will do anything to you. "I'm sorry." And then you go, well, it was kind of upsetting. I said I was sorry. Those 2 little words just doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah, make it up to me. There's 4 steps to a good apology, okay? Not with little kids. They're too little for this, but as adults, I think anyone can benefit from this information. There's 4 steps to a good, effective apology. 1 is say you're sorry, which I don't care about, but it just starts the ball rolling. Number 2 is take full responsibility for what you did. Say, "I'm sorry, it was all my fault. I shouldn't have done it." Don't say, "I'm sorry I said that, but if you hadn't said that, I wouldn't have had to." You see, a lot of people do that passive-aggressive blaming, shaming. 3rd step is make amends. What can I do to make it up to you? Nothing. It's okay. No, I insist. How about, and then suggest something if they don't come up with it. The 4th one is don't keep doing it. A lot of people keep doing the same things over and over. I said I was sorry. Yeah, but you say it every day. Like it doesn't mean anything, right? Anyway, those 2 words are so overused. They're just so overused. Where's the amends? Where's the stopping the bad behavior in the first place? Anyway. Okay, what to use instead of 24-hour media blackout? We don't do screens. Yeah, lots of people don't. So what you do is you just take something that they use every single day that they like and they would miss if it's gone. Okay, for 24 hours. Could be anything. If you don't have anything, because lots of people don't, what you can do is what I call inventing leverage. So you make up something you were never going to do. Okay, so this is the second consequence we're talking about. The first one is a positive action. The second one is the negative deprivation. 3 and above, not toddlers. Anyway, and 3 is not a toddler. It's a preschooler. Anyway, so 3 and above. So what you do is you invent leverage. You say, "I'll tell you what. You didn't do the first, you broke the rule, then you didn't do the first consequence. We were going to surprise you by taking you out for ice cream tonight, but now because of that, you're not going to. That's going to be your consequence. No ice cream for you, but Dad's going to take your brother out instead. You were never going to go out for ice cream, but you tell them you were. Then they're going to have an absolute fit, and that's okay. Let them process that. Let them process that they have to pay for what they did. Let them process that. Let them process accountability and having to make up for what you do. There's a good lesson in that. Anyway, So, but then a lot of kids will say, well, if I'm good tomorrow, will I get it tomorrow? No, it was just going to be a surprise tonight. You do not owe them that. You do not owe them that ice cream. They just missed out. That's okay. That was their choice. It was their choice. They chose to break the rule. They chose not to do the first consequence. It was their choice, right? Well, there's nothing wrong with teaching children to have a conscience. You do something wrong, you got to make it up to the person. You got to fix it. There's nothing wrong with giving your kids a good conscience and making them accountable. It starts early. And it's not done through words, it's done through actions. And even on that behavior board, you're not lecturing them about all this stuff. There's a consequence, right? Someone said, how do you discipline a child? Check out my free behavior board. There's 2 little mini courses in that. It's completely free, one for 3 and above and one for toddlers. And it explains how to get, it's the training wheels with all this stuff. If you want to go further, check out my courses. Anyway, I've got to go over to TikTok. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. You can get my courses. I have one for toddlers and one for older kids. It's called the boot camp courses. Or you can look into coaching if you want to work with me one-on-one. I do have a big wait list, but I'll get to you eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and I save it on YouTube. So I'm hopping over to TikTok now. Happy parenting. Oh, sugar, I'm on the wrong account. I have 2 TikTok accounts. And the other one is just, I don't even go on there anymore. Okay. I talk about, it's fascinating actually. I talk a little bit about fitness and a lot about cleaning. I love cleaning. It's just a bit of a mishmash. Someone asked what it's called. You don't need to know. I don't follow myself or anything. Like I never post on there. I think a lot of people get discipline wrong. They see it as a negative. To me, I see it as teaching your children to be nice and to be accountable and to be responsible. I don't see it as mean at all. I would feel mean not doing it because then you're raising kids who aren't very likable and they're not going to be accountable. I think it's the nicest thing you can do is to raise nice kids. Okay, so I'm just waiting for people to turn up before I get going here. Oh, I don't know about that, Serena, about the child's brain. I'm not a doctor. I can't comment on that. Okay, I'm going to get going now. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you want to check out my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. And you can, if you want to work with me one-on-one, that's coaching. And I do have a big wait list for that, but I'll get to you eventually. Or you can listen to the podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We release one every Tuesday and Thursday. It's on all the platforms, and we save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. I'm always looking at my social media screen because that's where most of my followers are. I don't tend to look at the YouTube camera, and I'll tell you why, to be totally honest. I am like 10 times bigger on there. I look way better on my phone. It's very hard to look at a big, huge screen of myself. That's why. So YouTube, I'm not ignoring you, but it's I don't like seeing myself on that big screen. That's why. And plus that my big audience is on the social media platforms. TikTok or YouTube isn't social media. It's a search engine. It's just totally different. What do you do if your neighbor has undisciplined kids and you are around it when outside? None of your business. They're not your kids. Yeah, I would never say anything. Yeah, they're not your kids. What do you do if your neighbor has an annoying husband? Do you do something about that too? Yeah, it's none of your business. They're not your kids. Will it rub off on my kids? Not if you're a leader. Nope. Okay. If you're not a leader for your children and you send them out in the world or out in the neighborhood or whatever, they're very susceptible and very vulnerable to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. You get the idea. When you're a leader, they're not vulnerable to anyone else. They tend to carry your umbrella everywhere they go because it increases their self-esteem. They know who they are. They're very confident. But yeah, your leadership will carry wherever they go. Can you talk about repairing relations with a 7-year-old after being too strict? Well, what I would start with is I always start with a bit of an explanation or an apology. So I would say to them, I'll say, look, I don't think I was a very good mom. This is what I would say. If I didn't like the way I'd parented, I would have said, look, I don't think I was a very good mom for you. I'm not happy with the way I parented you. I'm going to make some changes. I want to be a better parent for you. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. I got a new behavior board. I'm on it too. I got to be accountable. So yeah, start fresh like that. They're 7 years old. You got to talk like that with a 7-year-old. And they'll say, no, you've been a good parent. Say, that's okay. I love you. And I've been okay, but not as good as I think I should have been. Okay. So yeah, I want to fix things because you deserve to have a good parent. You deserve to have a better parent than I've been. Say it like that. Yeah. They're like, what? Yeah. But it'll go in. They're 7. It'll sink in. So own it. Own it. There's nothing wrong with that. Own it. And don't go on about it too. Don't go on, and I did that, and I did that, and don't do that. Yeah, it's not fair to do that to a child. Disrespectful, sassy 7-year-old. That's a different person that asked that. That just says you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills. It's not the kid's fault. It's the parents. Always take the blame. Always take the blame because you're the leader or you're not the leader. That's why they're sassy. They don't sass a leader. It would be embarrassing. Have you ever had anyone that you looked up to in life, a grandparent, a teacher, a coach? Would you ever sass them, even as a kid? No, why not? Because you look up to them. They make you feel good. You admire them. That's what I'm teaching here. It's leadership. That's all that is. It's just simple leadership. Okay? So you're not fixing kids, you're fixing yourself. The thing about that is that you take the blame, like even when I was working with kids, if they acted out when I was first starting to work with them, I always thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? There's no point in blaming them. And I never worked with easy kids, right? These are all challenging behavioral kids, behavioral challenge kids. So if they acted out, I blame myself. If they were under my care, I blame myself. Okay? Here's the thing. Once you turn them around and they're great, then you can take the credit too. I remember once I was working with this teenager. I just remembered this the other day. I was working with this teenager and the teacher came over and said, I don't know what's going on, but you've just been a pleasure to have in class. The teacher said that to the teenager. I said, thank you. The teenager thought that was hilarious. I took all the credit for that. And I also took the blame beforehand. If they were acting out in class when I was starting to work with them, I took the blame. So you can take the blame and then the credit too. Take the blame and the credit. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes parents say, way to shame the parent. You go somewhere else. You're never going to like me. I'm not trying to shame you. I'm trying to get you to be a leader. Leaders take responsibility. Can you give me examples of leadership? That's the pool story. If you check it out, you can Google BratBusters pool story. It just explains how I treat children. I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior, but then I focus on the good kid. My focus, all my energy and focus goes into connection and my friendship, my relationship, building them up. That's where all my focus and energy goes. But I do have to deal with bad behavior. I don't let anything go. But when you're learning how to do this, you have to focus just on one bad behavior at a time. I don't let anything go. I address everything. But I'm level 10 with this because I invented all this stuff. Okay. But when you're learning how to be, the reason why you don't address everything is you crash and burn. Whereas to me, it's like second nature, right? That's why I teach it. So it's fun for me, actually. I like it. Because I know how well it works. It's not ego. What is it? It's exciting, right? I loved it when I got a kid who everyone else had struggled with, and I'd get a kid that was really difficult, really rude, and then I could turn them around. It's exciting. Well, I thought it was. You got to put down ages. There's a few questions that I would have liked to have answered, and you can't just put 5 because I don't know what your question was. You have to put the whole question again and then the age. Some of them I can answer without an age, but most of them I need an age, because there was a couple I thought, oh, that's a good one, but I didn't know the age, because the answer would be very different depending on the age. Okay, yesterday I asked about 15-year-old consequences. What to do if small but consistent acting out at school. Work on your relationship and ask them what's going on. Say, what's going on at school? I understand you're acting out. Just say it. I understand you're acting out. What's bugging you? Come on. I wasn't perfect either. You can say it like that. So you just want them to open up. If they won't open up, then you've opened up the door to it being discussed. But I don't know what's going on, so I'd have to look into that. You kind of want to understand them to fix it. Like, you can't just, with teenagers, it's a little bit different with teenagers. Everything's different with teenagers. They're my favorite age, by the way. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. All the answers are in these top 5 tips, but there's a lot more detail. Like if I'm working with someone, there's tons more detail. But everything's in these top 5 tips. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it, and they already know it anyway. Number 2, you negotiate as almost everything with teenagers. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? Start high and then be willing to lower and compromise too. You got to give them something, right? Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? It's okay to not be perfect. They're going to make mistakes just like you do, right? Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. I won't go on about that one too much, but you never discuss bad times with teenagers. There's no point. And number 5 is you can be a right fighter with teenagers, or you can be happy. You can't be both. They will die on any hill. Even if they know they're wrong and you know they're wrong, everyone knows they're wrong, they'll still die arguing it. They just will. So just say, let's just forget it for now, or let's talk about it later and let it go. So my top 5 tips for parenting teens. A hint is, the most important 2 really are listen to understand and show empathy, not to gather information to lecture with. And the second one, negotiate as much as possible. So I keep forgetting to look on, as I explained, I don't look at the YouTube screen that often because my face is gigantic and I don't like that. Okay. Okay. What if my husband agrees with the idea of a board but doesn't stay on track or uses random okay, just say to him, you got to have your own behavior board in your master bathroom, and say, look, if you undermine the board or don't follow it, there's a consequence. And then he has to have a rule for you too. And by the way, the consequences are usually very personal. If you get my drift, like if you do mess up on between the parents, their own behavior board in the master bathroom. I don't even know if I should tell you this. Sometimes kids are listening. I'm going to try and tell you this. Anyway, so whenever parents are fighting, I say, get your own behavior board going, and we'll, just between the 2 of you. And the consequences should be something funny and fun or whatever. So I had this one client, I won't go on about him, but he said, you can tell, he was Southern, it was cowboy. And he said, you can tell everyone my name and everything. He was proud of this. And he says, she didn't mess up once, his wife. And he said, so I didn't get this. And he had drawn a picture of what he wanted. It was what I would call vulgar. And so I said, well, the reason why she never messed up is you went too far with that. If you'd taken it back a notch, you might have got it every night. So yeah, and he went, damn. Anyway, he was God, they were fun to work with. Very funny. But yeah, so you got to have your own accountability chart, right? Otherwise, you're just going to be nagging him all the time. And ask him, what do you want from me? I want you to follow the board. What do you want from me? Have fun with it. It's good for your marriage, that kind of stuff. Give and take, right? Instead of just criticizing. How can I request a coach? Go on my website if you want to work with me. I'm sorry there is a big wait list for that. I've been offered a lot of money to go to the top of the wait list. I don't do that. Anyway, I thought that was cute. But anyway, yeah, if you want to work with me, go on the wait list. So it's on BratBusters.com. ODD, someone just asked about that. ADHD obviously is a medical diagnosis. ODD, doctors have told me ODD, it's oppositional defiant disorder. It's something they made up to make the moms feel better, but it's not a medical diagnosis. They're just oppositional. It means you're not a leader is what it is. It's a tell. It means you got some work to do on your leadership skills. That's all it is. Doctors have told me that. It's not a medical diagnosis. It's just something they've told moms to make them feel better. You know what's too bad about that? Is that then they feel like they don't have to do anything because it's not their fault. You want to take the blame. You want to take responsibility for it. They're oppositional because I'm not a leader. If I was a leader, they wouldn't be oppositional, which is how it works, right? The board is at BratBusters.com. How long is your wait list? I don't want to say how many people are on it because I never know how fast or slow it's going to go. It can be anywhere from maybe 1 month to 3 months. Usually what happens is people drop off. Because they're waiting too long. That's what happens. And the problem is sometimes I'll go a whole month without taking on a new client because my existing clients keep rehiring me. Most of them rehire me. So, and they always get first. I always have a few spots open in case they do, because they always get first spots, right? Which makes sense. When are your podcasts again? Tuesday and Thursdays. I think they're released at like midnight or something, 12:01 kind of thing. I don't know. My daughter does all that. Oh, look at Tabitha. She knows how this works on YouTube. Yeah, if you go on my website and you sign up, I'll look at it right now. I never do. My daughter does all this stuff. Our jobs don't cross over at all. I don't know what she does. I know she works 10 times harder than I do. She's a workaholic. Okay, I hit the wrong button. Okay, if you go on my website, BratBusters.com, the very top line is black and it has a blue Get Access button. You click on that, you have to sign up for the newsletter, and then you'll get the free behavior board courses. There's 2 of them. They're mini courses, and you have to sign up for the newsletter. I don't know how often she sends the newsletter out, but she does make me look at them, and I never change anything. I don't know why she does that to me. But anyway, so she sends out a newsletter, but we're very careful with that. All the newsletters, there's a message in there. There's something that can help you in there. Like we don't just send out sales stuff. We're just not like that, right? So it's just a mother-daughter business. And, so anyway, all the newsletters, I'm very impressed actually with what she does. So anyway, you're not allowed to get an email and send something out without them signing up for some permission. They have to give you permission or something. That's why you always have to sign up to something before you get something. Yeah, it's the law. Isn't that interesting? You can't just collect an email and send stuff out. It's against the law. They have to agree to sign up for, it's interesting. Found that out 20 years ago. Because when I first started my business, I didn't know that. So I was just collecting emails and I wasn't sending them anything afterwards, right? They weren't signing up for anything. I would just send them something. Not allowed to do that. Interesting. Total school refusal, physically age 7. I don't know what else is going on. You got to work on your relationship. If you're a leader, that's very rare, unless there's something awful going on at school and they're not telling you about it, or else they're really struggling and hiding it from you, which isn't the case. A 7-year-old, a teacher would know about that. But yeah, maybe something's going on. I would have to investigate that. That would be coaching. I don't know I don't know what's going on. 7 and 3-year-old always trying to be first for things, cry when they're not first, what to do? Well, that's a pretty good one, actually. What you can do is just take turns. Say, you were first for that last time, now you're first. Keep track of it. So yeah, you can keep it on your phone or something. You were first last time, now it's your turn to be first. They're different things, but they can still take turns. And if they cry about it and get upset because they say it's not fair, then I would say, I'll tell you what, if you don't agree to this, and if you're difficult and screaming because you're not going first, even though you went first last time, you'll skip a turn. They'll go first twice. That's exactly what I would do. Do I care if they get upset? Never. If I know I'm doing a very fair and reasonable thing, I like it when they get upset, because now they've just processed that I'm in charge and they're not. They've just processed that things aren't always going to go their own way. They just processed that they're not able to control me. Okay? That I'm the leader. I'm very good at setting out systems and being fair and reasonable, right? So their fit, seeing meltdown and tantrum is their lesson. Don't ever feel bad about that. It's good for them. Let them get it out of their system. I hate you, whatever. I'm going to go do the dishes now. Look, there you go. You go process that. That's fine by me. Everyone's trying to avoid the big scenes. The scenes are the lessons. So I'm just reading Tabitha's stuff. I wish I was as strong as you. I need to see it that way. Okay, couple things. This is my lane. This is what I do, right? I'm really bad at a lot of stuff. So, and I'm a pretty strong person because I'm 65. I've been through a lot. You know, you get wisdom and you get tougher as you get older because you've lost your parents and you've gone through all this stuff, right? So, but yeah, I was always good with kids. This is my thing. But I'm really bad at a whole bunch of stuff. I'll give you a good example. I'm really bad at anything to do with taxes. You say the word taxes to me and I'll probably soil myself. I have a phobia. So, I have to make sure I've got really good people behind me working for me that can sort me out. So we all have stuff that makes our bowels turn to jello. But this parenting thing with kids, piece of cake for me. But talk to my accountant. Yeah. So we all have something that we're like that with. But I've had to learn, I've had to learn how to deal with talking about money and taxes. I've had to learn to do that. Very difficult for me. So we've all got stuff we have to work on. I think the thing is too, I grew up in a different generation. Was born 1960, and we didn't talk about money or finances like people do these days. Money was, if you talked about money, it was vulgar. And so I grew up not discussing it. So talking to an accountant and the banker and all that stuff, I find that, it was a challenge for me. So we've all got stuff that we have to learn. We've all got to be better at certain things. This just happens to be, parenting came easy to me. All kids are easy for me, but not everything is. So you've probably got something that I could learn from you that you find easy. You go, well, of course that's talking about money, piece of cake. What are you talking about? Right? It's like that. So yeah, this is my lane, but there's lots of stuff that is not my lane. You said, I don't quite understand your question. It sounds like your kid's taking off their seatbelt in the car. There's a thing that you can buy. It's like a harness. I've seen it. I can't explain it, but it goes over top of the seatbelt so they can't get access to it. And it was invented for disabled children who don't know enough not to take a seatbelt off. So if you look it up, check it out because you want to keep them safe. You want to keep that seatbelt on, right? So if they're taking it off, I wouldn't hesitate to get that just to keep them alive, right? Now, I must listen the first time. Oh my goodness, no. Michaela, if she's asking, can the rule be, I must listen the first time I am told to do something? No, that's too broad. It's unreasonable, right? Then your rule should be that you never ever yell or use an angry tone. But even that, you're allowed to have that that should be yours, but you can't put that for kids. It's too much. You know what you're saying? You know exactly what you're saying? You should respect me even though I haven't earned it. That's what you're saying. You have to earn their respect. They listen when they respect you. They don't respect you. You got to earn that. You got to work for it. But you can put attitude on your rule. Okay, but not theirs. Yeah, you're saying you have to respect me even though I haven't earned it. That's exactly what that says. Yeah, you can't do that. You got to work for that. You got to earn it. I bought the little harness, but he learned to take it off. There's ones that are built for, I don't know, there's all different ones, right? I don't back any of them because I don't know anything about them. But there are ones that are for like 10, 12, 14-year-olds, even adults, that they literally can't get out of. So there must be one that they can't get out of. I've actually, no, I don't want to talk about it because I can't back it. I don't know if it's safe or whatever. But I've seen one that there's no way I could even get out of. So it could be considered dangerous, almost, but yeah. You should respect me even though I have not earned it. That's exactly what that says. I got to say it like it is because you need to hear the truth, right? But yeah, you can't demand respect. You have to command it. You have to earn it. And you're demanding it. That's what that says. You can't demand it. It's too much. Okay, this is, I have a teenager that punishes me by his health issues if I put rules to encourage self-discipline. Put by myself. I don't understand that one. I don't understand that one. What do you address? Newly turned 3-year-old always says no when told to do something. Put it on the board. If you need him to put his shoes away when he comes in, you put it on the board. Put your shoes and jacket away where they belong within 5 minutes of arriving home. Put it on the board. Then if he doesn't do it, then there's a consequence. That's how you start getting respect. Then they will listen to you. You can't expect them to listen to you until you set up the board, started getting the board going. You start setting yourself up as a leader. They listen to a leader. It's never the kid. Whenever parents say, but you don't know my kid, I say, well, you know, what do you think he'd be like with me? And parents always say, probably pretty good. It's never the kid. It's always the lack of leadership, right? You are so wise. This is just my lane, right? Talk to my banker and my accountant, and they might say I'm a drooling moron. So I'm learning. So we've all got something that we're good at, right? I've taught 3 things in my life. I've taught parenting, I've taught sewing, and fitness. Those are 3 things I'm okay at. The only one I'm really very opinionated and very confident with is parenting. Fitness, I can always learn a lot more. Sewing, I could always learn a lot more. I'm okay at those. But parenting, I'm very confident with. Why is that? I never thought about that. I rarely ever second guess myself. I just always, very black and white, always understood kids. From the time I was 11, I was volunteering in daycare centers and babysitting at 11. Just always understood kids. I was always trying to figure myself out too. I can remember turning 4 and thinking back to when I was 3 and thinking, why did I do that? Like I was trying to figure out why I would have done that when I was 3, but I wouldn't have done it at 4. Isn't that weird? What a weird kid, eh? Always trying to figure kids out, even myself growing up. But why would I do that? Weird. Anyway, everyone's got something that they were born to do, right? What's interesting is my daughter, we were just doing a podcast and I just listened to it tonight. I don't know when it's going out. And I don't remember what it was about, but what came out was that I always say you don't need to validate all their feelings. And yet it came out that I do. I've always said you do not need to validate all their feelings because a lot of them are just, they're mad because they didn't get their own way. And I guess I don't validate that one. Yeah, I don't. Actually, I don't. But I am validating a lot of feelings, but I do it through play. I don't sit down and have the mini therapy sessions. Well, tell me about your feelings. I don't do that. I get them relaxed and playing. That's like with a therapist, a psychologist or therapist. They do play therapy, right? Get them relaxed, playing in their own little world. Then they start talking, right? So yeah, I invite them to play, and I use play to get the connection going. And when you're connected, they'll tell you everything, right? But I don't validate the anger. I don't care about it. You process the fact that I did the right thing. Process the fact that you can't always get your own way. That's none of my business. That's up to you to process that you can't hit people. You can't, you know what I mean? Like they got to learn that stuff. Anyway, I got to go. Thanks so much for listening. Check out my website. It's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp course for toddlers, my boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. You can look into coaching if you want to work with me. There's a wait list, but I'll get to you eventually. And also the podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms and we save it on YouTube. If you want to watch us do it, my daughter and I. Anyway, thanks so much for following. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll be back again hopefully tomorrow. Oh, I might not. I don't know. Anyway, happy parenting.